Okay, so looking at this question, you can tell that the question is, how is our nervous system more favorable than this picture? What is different about our nervous system than in this picture? Okay, so somebody tell me, hey, I knew that one was wrong right off the bat. Which one?
D.
Okay, both C and D are wrong. So, Annie Laura, tell me why you knew C was wrong.
The human nervous system has many factors, so muscles, glands.
Absolutely. Muscles and glands are not the nervous system. Muscles are muscles, and nerves are nerves. They're not the same thing. Good, absolutely. Okay, and then D, you tell me why you knew D was wrong.
Was it is more favorable.
Okay, so the human nervous system is no more favorable. Ours is way better than that. You have a brain.
It's more complex.
Yeah, ours is more complex. You have a brain. Okay, so C and D are wrong. The correct answer is, what'd you put? B. Good, the correct answer was B. Somebody tell me why A is wrong. Well, okay, you have cones and rods in the backs of your eyes. Cones allow you to see color. Rods allow you to see black and white. So that's all true and good. But your nervous system, as you read your notes last night, you saw where it talked about integration. Your nervous system is so awesome because, where does it say integration? Because, integration right there. Because you can think, you can take different thoughts and make a decision. Like yours can all be integrated into your brain, which is really cool. So all the A is a good answer. B was definitely the best answer. A is incorrect because while we can detect different stimuli using various receptors, they would be relatively useless unless you can put it all together. So B was the correct answer. Okay, get out if you will, get out those video notes and your notes printed. I'm going to come around and look at those and give you some credit for it. But while you do that, I'm going to let you enjoy a song. Your favorite.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Each neuron has a cell body, a nucleus, strands called nerve fibers. There are two types of them carrying information out in when it goes channeled to the cell body. Dendrites when it's sent away from axons. They're from one cell to a friend. The pass on instructions. There are millions of nerves. They're called neurons, and there are just three types. Sensory is the first. Has receptors. They respond to stimuli. Associations in brain, spinal cord. Interpreting the info and passing on to the motor neurons. Carry to the body, bring it to the glands, bring it to the muscles. Nervous system, spinal cord, brain and nerves. The nervous system. Nerves, of course, are common packs of nerve fibers. Sensory, motor, or mixed nerves. The spinal cord's a thick bundle. What's from the brain? Through holes in the backbone. Info travels through electrical signal, nerve impulse. Neurotransmitters released at the junction. If enough of the chemical builds up in the next neuron, impulse systems of nerves. They're called neurons, and there are just three types. Sensory is the first. Has receptors, they respond to stimuli. Associations in brain, spinal cord. Interpreting the info and passing on to the motor neurons. Carry to the body, bring it to the glands, bring it to the muscles. Nervous system, spinal cord, brain and nerves. The nervous system. There are too many types of actions carrying out your body. Voluntary actions
ahead and grab your notes now. Things you should already know. And I think you do. I think we all know these things. Hopefully. Okay, so first thing is signal transduction pathway. Lexi, tell me, what is reception?
It's when the ligand binds to the G protein or whatever kind of.
Absolutely. When the ligand binds to the G protein and the G protein changes shape. Marissa, tell me, what is transduction?
After the protein or ligand binds, then you just shape it, carries the information down.
Okay, so when the message is changed, right? Inside the cell, the message is changed. And then, bing, go with response. What you got? Good. It from the message, it does a response. And so example would be glucose release, turning on protein synthesis. Good. Okay, and then on your notes still it says you should know what a ligand is. Somebody tell me what a ligand is. The signal molecule. Good. Hormones. Today we're going to learn about the signal molecule that neurons go through, and that's a neurotransmitter. And then the next thing, you may have forgotten this one, but it says that ions, right here, what is an ion? Ions are, or can be used, energy can be in the form of charged particles. So ions, there's two types of ions. What are they? Cations and anions. Good, your chemistry teacher will be proud. Cations are positive, anions are negative. Okay, so the nervous system. It's how we think, but it's also what controls your muscles and glands and your brain and spinal cord. Okay, so this is just the evolution of the nervous system. So all this picture is showing you is from simple to complex. And the first one starts out with a cnidarian right here. So you can see the cnidarian is first, and it has a net-like nervous system. Y'all see that in your notes? Starts with the evolution of an organism, wide nerve net. So a jellyfish, it doesn't see like its prey or its food particles, but what it can do with its net nervous system, it can sense distance. So it can tell like where it is. Does that make sense? It can't like see like you and I, but it's like it can sense light. You know how when your eyes are closed, you can tell how when something's close to you? Because you can tell light. Yeah, well that's how cnidarians can do. Okay, and then you move on to the next picture. It shows a planarian. That's like a flatworm. Maybe from 9th grade biology, you remember a platyhelminthes? I know Heidi does because I told her that. Right here, the planarian. They're the first organisms that have, it says eye spot, so it has like little eyes. So they're the first organisms with those. Next, arthropods, and then we, of course, have a brain, which is way more complex than what a cnidarian has. And when an organism has a brain, it's called cephalized or cephalization. Do y'all see that? And you know the prefix CEPHAL means head, right? So it says the evolution of other sensory organs in the head region, called cephalization, allow for reception and response. Okay. Something kind of interesting. Okay, so the nervous system has three major functions, or three components to its system. The first one it shows you is the sensory input. So if you look right there, sensory input. Sensory input is where you can sense something. Like, what are your five senses? Come on. Taste, sight, smell, hear, right? Touch. You sense something. So, for example, I put my hand right here, and I have nerves at the end of my finger that are telling my brain I'm touching something. So I know that I'm touching something, right? So sensory nerves. Okay, and then I have integration. That integration is like thought. Put it together. Think. I can take in lots of senses and even make a decision. Like I can say, well, you know, this is a benefit and this is a benefit and this is a benefit, but this is bad, so I'm not going to make that decision. You know, we can think. We can make decisions as people, and that's so cool. Okay, so integration, that's your thinking right there. And then motor output, that is where your brain tells a muscle to do something. your brain tells a gland to do something. So you do want to know that effector cells on motor output are muscles and glands. Do y'all see that? So your nerves act on muscles, and your nerves act on glands. So every time you move a muscle, your brain controlled it. And every time you release a hormone, like from your brain, a hormone from a gland, your brain controls the release of that hormone. So your brain, it's real busy. It's working hard. It just doesn't seem like it. Okay, so 3 things. Sensory, integration, motor output. Somebody, I need a volunteer. Come here, somebody. I'm not going to be mean to you. I'm going to be sweet. Okay, come on. Thank you, volunteer. Okay, close your eyes. You guys face the people. Hold your hand down. I'm not going to hurt you, I promise. Hold your hand down. Close your eyes.
You can mark on me.
No, I promise I'm not going to mark on you. Okay, I just want you to feel it with your eyes closed and tell me what this is. Marker. You didn't even feel it. Okay, good. So now keep it out. Tell me what this is. How can you feel? You're not feeling.
She said look back at what all you're doing.
Okay, look that way. Close your eyes. Hold your hand down. Keep your eyes closed now. Tell me what this is.
Your phone.
Not my phone. Somebody else's phone. Okay, no, eyes closed. Eyes closed. Keep them closed. Keep them closed. Okay, tell me.
What are you going to put on?
Just be quiet. Tell me what this smells like.
That's my marker.
Sharpie. Pretty good, right? Okay, so, thank you. So what she just did was she felt something that's sensory. She thought about it and decided, and then she spoke what it was. Y'all see that? So she felt it, that was sensory. She thought about it, that was integration. And she spoke. And any of us could have done that. If I put a dice in your hand, you know what dice feels like. You can remember what dice feels like. What about, do you know what a cinnamon roll smells like? Mm-hmm. Yeah, we all do. And so not only can we sense that, but our brain can recall that. So the recall is integration. Yes, ma'am?
So do you like simple, I mean, I guess you're not so simple. Animals, and they have.
Like mammals all do. Like deer and bear and dogs, they can smell and remember.
Okay, or like the little names that you had a picture of.
The little what?
Lizards.
Uh-huh.
Do you have a picture of that too? Doesn't it?
I think so. Yeah. Have y'all ever been around a puppy that was like smelling on you, and it was like because they could smell a dog from your home or whatever? Like you go to someone's house and they're like sniffing on you because of that. So I know mammals can smell, and especially like with prey, like hunting skills, they can definitely smell. Okay, so sensory, integration, and motor. Questions yet? Okay, the nervous system is divided into 2 parts. This is easy. The central nervous system, right here, which is in the center of the body, the brain and spinal cord. Central nervous system. And then there's the peripheral nervous system, which is coming out from the spinal cord and going down to your arms and legs. So central nervous system, right there in the middle of your body. Central, center of your body. Peripheral is arms and legs. So what's in my fingertips is what? Peripheral. Good. And what's in my brain is, does anybody know what one nerve cell is called? A neuron, right? Y'all learned that from the video. Probably you already knew it. A nerve cell is one neuron. What is something that's different about a neuron than a skin cell? Well, they definitely release impulse. There's a lot of things that are different. What? Yeah, they release electrical impulses. What else? What's like the big thing that was on your last test that neurons don't do? They don't normally divide. They don't normally go through mitosis. So, and I thought somebody would say their shape is definitely different. Do y'all remember from the video last night? The shape of a neuron is much different than.
So is that why when people get like a really bad burn and like their face gets messed up because they like can't feel it?
Yeah, they damage the nerves on the ends. Yeah, absolutely. They damage them, and those don't. They don't. Sometimes they do in the peripheral, but the central doesn't.
Or like the woman that got a face transplant, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I think she got molded in the face or something. She got a face transplant, and after some time she was able to feel her face.
I guess they did regenerate. And you know that when they do surgery, like when they do, like they can restore some of the nerves, like replace some of the nerves somehow. Like, if not necessarily like that, but I know some types of surgeries they can do that will allow you to have feeling.
Or like if you were like plastic surgery.
Yeah.
Like if you get, I don't know, like if you get a piece of your nose taken off, right? Then how are you able to feel what was there before? Like,
I guess the neurons on the peripheral do regenerate sometimes. Okay, so look at this, a nerve structure. This is a neuron, one neuron. And it's got, if you're looking at it with me, it's got dendrites coming out. Okay, so dendrites receive the message. Literally, the ligand attaches to the dendrite. What is that called? Come on. Reception, right? So beside the word dendrite, maybe write in reception. The dendrite receives the message. They carry stimulus energy into the cell body. Okay, and then right here, if you're looking at my picture, right here is the cell body. And the cell body takes the message and it changes it so that it can go down the axon. What's that called? It changes the message. Yeah. It says the cell body takes the stimuli from different dendrites and compiles the energy into one signal. So it takes the message. In this case, it's a neurotransmitter. It takes the neurotransmitter, compiles it, and it says, like a funnel or fluids, it puts it together into one signal. Okay, and then look right here. The axon, there's your axon. The message goes down the axon. So the message is received by the dendrites. Nope. The message is received by the dendrites. This isn't working out for me. Received by the dendrites. It's changed in the cell body. So changed right here. Received and changed. And then it's sent down the axon. So my axon was a little off on that first one. So received, transduction. The response is to send it down the axon. Can y'all see that? Okay. So looking at your notes, by cell body, you want to say that it does transduction. What's that circle in the cell body? That's where the nucleus is, right? Y'all see the nucleus? Okay, dendrites, that receives. Axon, that's going to send away. Axon starts with an A, and so does away. Can y'all remember that? Axon, away. Okay, around the axon, can y'all, look at this right here. Can y'all see the picture underneath? The picture showing you, there's little bitty, y'all see those little circles on the axon? Okay, those are called Schwann cells. Schwann cells make up what we call a myelin sheath. Okay, myelin sheath is a protective covering over the axon, but it's made up of Schwann cells. Okay, does anybody, I know you all have earbuds, like that you listen to music in? Okay, and you know that rubber coating? What's underneath that rubber coating? A wire. Yeah, we all know that. So think about the wire as the axon. And think about the rubber coating as the myelin sheath. So there's a rubber coating over that wire. And what does the rubber coating do to the wire? It protects it. It protects it from what? Getting damaged. From frying. You're right. So what it does is it keeps the electrical signal inside the wire. That rubber coating keeps the electrical signal inside there. It prevents it from electrocuting you. Do what? Oh, no. Has anybody ever used an earbud that had like a cut in the rubber? What happened? What did your music sound like?
It was like when it's like big bass, it has a little.
It like popped, or I think, or when mine was like that, it was like the music had skips in it, almost like a CD skipped, but it's like the song kept going. It just wasn't fluid like in my ear. So there were breaks in it. So the myelin sheath on the axon, it allows the neurotransmitter to go safely without burning you. It allows it to go faster, and it allows it to be insulated or protected. So the myelin sheath is made up of Schwann cells. Or maybe you should say Schwann cells make up the myelin sheath. That's like skin cells make up tissues. Schwann cells make up myelin sheath. Y'all got that? Okay, at the end of the neuron, so look right here at the end of the neuron, there's little endings called, let's just erase all this. There's little endings called synaptic terminals right there. All it is the end of the neuron is called a synaptic terminal. And it's like frayed out. So the axon kind of ends with several little pieces, this synaptic terminal. And what that does is, I'm going to draw another neuron out. What it does is it allows the message to go to the next neuron. Because remember, the axon carries it away. So the message has to go to this next neuron. So you have tons of little neurons that are all the way down and all the way up. So the message has to go from this synaptic terminal right here to this next, what's that called? Like the message has to go from the synaptic terminal to right here. What's this called? The dendrite. So the message has to go from the synaptic terminal to the next dendrite. And it has to jump. Has to jump the gap, or the gap is called the synapse. They don't touch. There's a little gap in between them. Like if my hand is a dendrite, cell body, axon.
Is that why, like, on videos of, like, nerds, it's like a break?
Yeah, there's a break in between them. Absolutely. So that break is called the synapse. Do y'all remember on the last test we talked about cell communication, and there was direct communication where the cells touched, local communication where they didn't go far. Well, neurons is an example of local communication. Do y'all remember that? Okay, and then there was long distance, which was like hormones. So neurons is an example of local communication. And here's a picture of, maybe, oh, right here. Here's a picture of the axon. And this is like the next dendrite. And it's the little chemical message, which is a signal molecule, has to jump the gap. And tomorrow we're going to talk about all those little chemicals and how they get across. Okay, so do me a favor and just a scratch sheet of paper. See if you can draw a neuron and label it.
So it only makes one line.
They're aligned in the neurotransmitter. So like one. This is like one. But it keeps like, yeah, it keeps in the.
Mom looks like a rap shit.
Yeah, just try to see if you can sketch it out by memory. See if you can. Could you label your neuron with the axon and the dendrite? What about, did you label myelin sheath and Schwann cells? If you didn't do so, did you label the synaptic terminal? Yes, label the synaptic terminal. Okay, so hopefully you did that accurately. Okay, this is just an interesting story. Does anybody know anyone that has epilepsy? Okay, you do know someone? Okay, so epilepsy, somebody tell me what you know about, they have seizures, but what are like things that they should avoid to not have a seizure? Flashing lights, what else? What'd you say? Loud noises, good, what else?
Fireworks.
Probably fire. You're probably right there. Okay, when I was younger, I went to church with a girl that had epilepsy, and she went through a time in between like pediatric and adult doctor. Like she had a hard time with her medications. So she had a couple of seizures there for a while. For about a year, she had a hard time with seizures. And so one time she had a seizure on picture day. She was like in line for pictures, and the flashing light and the people talking. There was like a lot going on in the room. It was like a gym full of kids. And there was like several different setups for, y'all know what picture day looks like. Okay, and then 2 different times that I remember she had a seizure in the lunchroom. What's going on in the lunchroom? Everybody's talking. You're like in line, probably worried about what that conversation is or that conversation is, and getting your food and eating, and you have a certain time, and you're sitting there, like there's just a lot going on in the lunchroom. Okay, and so the doctors gave her some specific rules about what to do and not to do, and she didn't get to go to the lunchroom for a while, and we would play, on Wednesday nights, I went to church with her, on Wednesday nights we would play video games after the Bible lesson, and so she could only play video games for 15 minutes at a time. So she would like set an alarm, and she could play video games, but then she had to walk away from it. Have you ever tried to carry on a conversation with somebody that plays a video game? It's impossible, because video games are like, you're zoned in, like you're trying to win, and there's colors, and there's sound, and you're like moving. Like, video games are busy. If you've ever played a video game. And it was like, not like a football game. It was like, like a Mario, like a car or something like that. So, but what it is, for someone with epilepsy, when their signal comes in, like here. Okay, so when the signal comes in, just like ours. Transduction, just like ours. It's sent, just like ours. But when there's multiple signals at one time, because remember, transduction, it puts them all together. When they jump the synapse to the next neuron, when they jump the gap, it jumps too fast. And so when the messages jump too fast and all go to the brain, then it puts their brain into overload and they have a seizure. So that's why the flashing of light or the loud noises, it's not just the light. It's like the light and the people in the gym talking and, it's like too many, it's like overload of sensory input is exactly what it is. It's overload of sensory input. So it throws them into seizures. And the reason she was having a hard time is because she was on like a child's medication. Because the medication that she was on was supposed to slow down the synapse. Well, she was on like pediatric medication. And so her pediatric doctor just kept upping her dose. Where when really what she needed to do was see an adult doctor. Because, she was in high school, so it was like almost adult time. And she needed an adult medication, but a lower dose. Because there's a difference in like children medication and adult medication. So she got it all figured out. She's fine now. Like her seizures are under control. I think they did. It just took a while to get it all leveled or whatever. I don't know. Okay, so you want to know the message, the ligand for neurons is a neurotransmitter. Do y'all see that word? This is the chemical produced by the neuron. So it's made in the brain. It's produced by the brain. Produced by the neuron. Used to transmit the signal across the gap. So the neurotransmitter, acetylcholine is the most common one, is the message made by the neurons to relay the signal. Acetylcholine is the most common because acetylcholine is the one that makes muscles flex. So acetylcholine is the message that says flex your muscles. So every time you flex a muscle, it's come from the brain. Every muscle you flex. It's crazy how fast it's going, don't y'all think?
Or like how your fingers can do like little things.
Yeah. I'm like beyond understanding on my part. So, but you want to know acetylcholine and neurotransmitter. And then I think those next two words are easy. What would a presynaptic cell be? Before the synapse. So if you're looking at...
So when is it not a synapse? Like when are you not responding to it?
Never. Like even when you're asleep.
Yeah. You still like
Or you're...
you still and if you're dreaming, like you still feel, you can feel everything.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, look at this picture right here. So if that gap between this axon and that dendrite, y'all see that gap, that pink gap? That's the synapse. So before the gap would be the presynapse. So that's the presynaptic cell. This is the postsynaptic cell. You got that, right? So before the gap, after the gap. You got all that. Okay, there's a couple of other just terms. Ganglia, that's a group of neurons in the peripheral nervous system. Where would that be at? A group of neurons in your peripheral nervous system. Maybe some sensitive places, but where's something that's sensitive?
When you're ticklish.
Probably, somebody else said feet. There's probably lots of nerves in your hands and feet, if I had to guess. More so than like your arm.
Because your hands do close touching with your feet.
I think so. What about your funny bone?
Oh my god, I hate that.
It doesn't, it's not funny. It's like, oh. Yeah, so those are where, definitely there. That's where there's a group of neurons. Like your funny bone is way more sensitive than just the skin of your arm. And probably because the skin is thicker too. Okay, and then it says nuclei. That's a group of neurons in the central nervous system. Okay, so types, those are just two terms. Types of cells that help the neurons. Ganglia and nuclei. You know that now. Okay, glial cells, all they are cells that run next to the neurons to support them. To keep them like running straight, running the right way. So glial cells are supportive cells. kind of like this. Kind of like the frame of a house, but for your brain. See, but for your brain. So glial cells there. Okay, and then what did I say Schwann cells were? Come on, Schwann cells.
The ones that produce myelin sheath.
They're myelin sheath, right? And what do they do to the neuron? They protect it. Okay, so you can see from this picture, there's the Schwann cells. You can't really see the picture too good. But if you look here.
So Schwann are cells?
Yeah, Schwann cells go over. See how they go? Schwann cells go over the axon, and together they make up the myelin sheath.
Oh, so they're cells on their own. So
They're cells on their own, and they're made up of a lipid layer. So Schwann cells make up the myelin sheath. They're made of lipid, and they are protective. So if it's in your peripheral nervous system, we call it Schwann cells or myelin sheath. But if it's in your nervous system, like the outer coating, we call it oligodendrocytes. So that's the cell that makes up the outer coating. Oligodendrocytes, right there. Yeah, oligodendrocytes or Schwann cells.
So, the O word, the oligodendrocyte, so they're just like protected?
Yeah, they're protective cells. Oligodendrocytes and Schwann cells are the same thing. Oligodendrocytes are just in your brain, and Schwann cells are in your peripheral nervous system. Okay, and then this is just a kind of interesting thing. Do y'all see how like the axon is straight, and you would think that the message would go like straight through the axon, but it doesn't. It actually jumps, doop, 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 like that. It jumps the in between the Schwann cells. There's nodes, and it's actually labeled here of nodes of Ranvier. So the message jumps those little nodes. It jumps the cells instead of going straight through, sort of like a frog jumps on a lily pad.
So how long did this
Right here. As soon as I knew I touched that, like almost instantaneously, like so fast, it goes crazy. Okay, does anybody know anybody that has MS?
I do.
Yeah, probably. Do what? Oh, really? So MS is a disorder where the myelin sheath is breaking down. So it hurts. People with MS hurt. Does your grandmother, is she hurt? And I think, from what I understand, I read a little bit about it, there's like different spells. Like they'll go through a week that's really bad, and then it won't be bad for a while. It's like they go through series of different spells of it. And there's also different degrees of how bad it is. And there's medication that can slow down the degeneration of the myelin sheath.
Oh, there's no like stopping. There's no.
What does it look like?
What it stands for.
Oh, multiple sclerosis. Sorry.
But there's not like a cure for it.
No cure for it.
One time I raised money for it.
Oh, really? That's cool. What is it?
Schwann cells is what
It's Schwann cells right here.
you said this one is in the brain and this one is
And the peripheral nervous system.
oh.
Yep, that's right. Okay, so I just thought that was kind of interesting about the Schwann cells. Okay, so at your tables, just discuss these terms real quick. Make sure you got everything on this list. Can everybody know all of those lists? Did y'all discuss them? And we're all clear? Okay, get out a sheet of paper, put your notes away. Synthesis question. Hopefully you discussed those things like you were supposed to.
Even if you discuss it.
Okay, so go ahead and answer this question for me. Okay, anybody not done? In 3, 2. Okay, flip it out, or flip it, look at yours. Do you have sensory involving detection? Integration is like thinking about it or incorporating the signal together. And then motor output is involving muscles or glands. So actually, motor is carrying out the response. Motor output is carrying out the response. Okay, so out of 3 points. 1, 2, 3. Uno, dos, tres. Uno, 2, 3. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, thought we were done. So go ahead and look at that. 3 points.